show The Gates. Rhona Mitra stars as a sexy suburban housewife who can really get a guy's blood pumping. Take a look.
What about your husband?
He's out of town.
For how long?
Long enough.
Wow, they don't usually offer them up like that.
So
angelic. I'll take it before noon.
I know, unsuspecting you look right now. I mean, we've seen you too. Sweet Home Alabama, Life of David Gale, and TV shows Boston Legal, Nip Tuck. And I heard that it was Judi Dench at the age of 9 that gave you the acting bug. True?
Oh, you know what? I saw her. Her daughter, Finty, was at school with me.
Finty?
Finty.
Oh.
Her daughter's called Finty, and she was at school with me. And I remember she used to come and pick her up. I was at a convent, and we always used to stand outside like good little girls in our uniform and, you know, wait for your mums to come pick you up. And Judi would turn up, and she was just, then I even recognized at that age that she was just this magnificent, like this force. She's like a lioness. And I just sort of, I looked at her and I thought there's something that she has that I'm drawn to. And so I said to Finty the next day, I was like, what does your mummy do? What, you know, because I was just curious, because we started talking about, you know, what mummies did, and she said she's an actress. I was like, oh, I'm going to be just like her when I grow up.
Good. That's something to us.
Well, I have to say, not quite, but
Your new show, The Gates, I mean, it looks quite hot. You have to tell us about it, because people are now saying it's a cross between Desperate Housewives and Twilight. I mean, that scene right there was just... tell us about this show.
You're
shooting
it down in
Louisiana, right?
We're shooting it down in Louisiana. Which is interesting at the moment. Yeah, but we'll get on to that.
Tell us what it's about.
Well, it's a gated community, which, I mean, I suppose we're all familiar. These gated communities are supposed to keep us safe, and they're supposed to be very secure, and they're where people go either to preserve themselves from the outside world, or in our case, it's us, well, some of us, keeping the outside world safe from us. And so we all coexist, and there are some supernatural forces at play.
You know, vampires are supposed to always stay young, aren't they? So, like, if this show stays on the air 20 years, that's a lot of Botox.
You're so not wrong. I know. And I have put this to our producers.
What are we going to do?
And I was like, who have you got lined up exactly? Which surgeons? I was like, I'll get a list drawn
your bra strands and Botox, you're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I think the way the budgets are going these days, we'll be using double-sided sticky tape, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, you also played a vampire in the successful film, it was Underworld, Rise of the Lycans. You were a vampire in there. So what drew you to this character? Because I believe the vampire suffers from an addiction in The Gates. What drew you to that?
You know what was interesting to me in this and our world is that, you know, I did get to play in an Underworld, which was fantastic and very theatrical with Michael Sheen and Bill Nye, and it was very theatrical. And this, you know, I think that I'm drawn to the fact that she's fundamentally, I call her 70% housewife and mother, and then 30% vampire. And I think that we have this thing, you mentioned addiction, and we have this thing that either vampires or addicts, so there's a dark side, and there's a choice to it. They want to be these demons, and there's a deliciousness about what they do. And in Claire's case, my character's case, she actually really fights it, and she is really tormented by the fact that she has this darkness that eclipses her. And I unfortunately lost my mum to addiction 4 years ago, and so there's a catharsis for me. So I saw the character, and I was like, I can learn a lot from this, and in playing the character, I can maybe have people empathize with this thing that is addiction that I think is misunderstood.
But vampires are so hot and so sexy too. Why do you think vampires are like the new thing? Yeah.
You know what? They've always been around, right? And I think that we've always
such
They've been, it's like the Tudors and like Spartacus. I think what they've done now is they've turned them into more of a the Forum is more mainstream. It's more popular culture. They're like pop culture vampires, and so they gave them to the kids. They've given them to the WB or the CW, and they've kind of made them more tangible. These stories, these mythological creatures, more tangible, I think, to the youth.
Why do you say that the Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are like vampires?
Because they're all rock and roll, and they go on forever.
The deliciousness, maybe.
And they seem as youthful now in their demeanor. They're just so playful.
They are.
Keith Richards is such a child.
That's true.
We want to thank you for coming by. The show certainly looks intriguing. We are thrilled to see a little bit of it today. You come back again. We want to thank Rhona Mitra. The Gates premieres this Sunday at 10 p.m. right here on ABC. We'll be right back.